Restoring Men and History, the attacks on free speech and Elon Musk. Mike Benz, Tucker Carlson interview we're going to go through. It's over a 2-hour, 7-minute interview, so I've pulled some of the best clips for you and how it would infringe upon your free speech, the ability to think, process information, get information. It's important. The First Amendment was written for you to protect you and us from the federal government. And here Mike Benz and Tucker Carlson are going to lay this out, how the State Department and NGOs and the government is interfering. Well, we went through this in the court cases. We know that already, but it's good to know exactly what they're doing and how. And this is an important interview that Mike Benz does. It's over 2 hours, so we pulled some of the best stuff. And then if you want to go back and watch it, we'll probably break this up into 2 or 3 parts. But here's the important thing about free speech. It's not just what you can say or what you can write on X. And X has been interfering with them, right? So they're furious at X. You saw all the drama when they lost one source of their monopolization of everything, of all the media. They went wild with X and Elon Musk, breaking their domination over controlling your free speech and having control of all censorship and the whole market. But Elon Musk has been standing, and he is a hero. We believe that. We would appreciate it if you like our message. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. For free speech, for you, right? And remember this, they're just going and attacking Elon Musk because he's standing in the middle for you, right? Just like Donald Trump. He's standing in the way. What they're really after is control of you and power over speech and the narratives, controlling the narratives, and the State Department and the NGOs. And we've gone through some of the others. Mike Benz focuses on the State Department because he was there, and the NGOs. A republic can't last without your ability to think, have thoughts, process them, hearing them. Let's talk about when we're online and we're in the Beverly Hills group, when it's online and they're all in person there, or when we're in Nashville in a meeting and we're all together. You get to hear the other men, and I enjoy hearing the great and intelligent men of the groups because I can think and they can make me better. And that's what X can do, right? You can get on there and read the comments in here. So freedom of speech is not just what you write. It's what you think. It's how you think. It's what you read. It's what you're able to see. And they want to control, the powers that be, these groups that Mike Benz is talking about here and others, is the they. And he goes through the they, the censorship industrial complex. They want to control what you see, what you read, what you think. Some of these factions that Mike Benz goes into. So it's a very important topic, one we care about deeply, because how are you going to be a man if you can't speak your mind? How are you going to be a man if you're going to get fired for speaking your mind or interfered with? Again, the First Amendment is about the federal government interfering in your free speech. State Constitution protects you at the state level. But it's about the federal government telling X who to censor or what to do, or telling Facebook what to do. And we know they did. We'll get to that. That's in here too. What they did to Mark Zuckerberg and how they totally took his company down at one point while it was losing net value. So let's take a look at this. And we got a bunch of clips to go through. So like I said, it'll probably be 2 or 3 parts. Justice Anthony Kennedy said this: the right to think is the beginning of freedom, and speech must be protected from the government because speech is the beginning of thought. Fantastic quote. It's true. And people don't tie it to the thought and what you hear and what you read. That's also a part. Because if they interfere with the people you follow on X or follow you on YouTube, they're interfering with free speech. If the federal government is directing YouTube to censor certain stories of certain people on there, that's infringement of the First Amendment. You're right, as an American. And we don't want to be like Europe. By the way, he'll get into this in this piece. How it's America, the State Department and the NGOs funded by America that are pushing the EU and pushing them against Elon Musk. So we'll get into the clips here. You must be able to disagree with the freedom of government. That is the First Amendment. Okay, let's go into clip 1.
I do want to get back to this sort of exporting the First Amendment concept that was such a big part of American statecraft. I think almost no one, there's almost no better example of this than what happened with the State Department's Global Engagement Center, which is the main censorship artery of the U.S. State Department. It also works with a million of these censorship NGOs and USAID and this whole network. It was set up by Rick Stengel And, Rick Stengel, would you say that his job was to export the First Amendment, former, managing editor of Time magazine. And when Donald Trump was elected in 2016, the guy whose job was to export the First Amendment wrote an op-ed, I believe in the Washington Post, effectively calling for an end to the First Amendment, that it needs to mirror that what Europe and other countries have.
And then he wrote a book making the same case.
Right. But again, this is the guy who was the Undersecretary of Public Affairs. This is
a very evil man, Rick Stengel.
Well, the point that I'm trying to make here is the free speech absolutist who was in charge of U.S. government projection of free speech. All it took was one election for the entire diplomacy architecture that this principle of free speech was based on to get completely bottomed out. All it took was Donald Trump getting elected for, arguably 200 years of a First Amendment principle and 70 years of this principle of exporting the First Amendment to be entirely discarded because it was leading to the wrong kinds of people being elected.
So what Mike Benz is talking about here and what they're talking about, the NGOs, the State Department don't get what they want. The powers that be don't get what they want. The blob, he calls it. The blob, if the blob doesn't get what it wants, let's change the system. Let's change the rules. They advocated for free speech at one time, and now they don't like it. They're accustomed to getting their way. They're accustomed to determine things. They like deciding who gets to run countries, who's elected in foreign countries, and they like deciding it here. They like winning. Don't get the results you want, change it. We got to win. Democracy's not working, change it. Even change the definition. Let's go to clip 2.
Free speech on the internet was blamed for the loss of the Philippines election by the State Department in 2016. It was blamed for the events of Brexit. This is why the U.S. State Department funds so many London-based NGOs and university centers and influence operations to stop Nigel Farage and the Brexit movement. It was blamed for the rise of Trump in 2016. It was blamed for the rise of Bolsonaro. It was blamed for the rise of Modi in India.
So here's the bright spot. You may seem institutionally overwhelmed, like they have all the money, power, and institutions. But here's the thing. If the truth didn't win out and didn't resonate with people, and common sense, and what resonates in the mind, soul, and heart, they wouldn't be so concerned about shutting us down and having censorship. But the truth speaks loudly and clearly and resonates with people. People internally, a lot of people know the truth. Some people don't, as we see some crazies running around. But a lot of people know the truth, and the truth resonates. Let's go to clip 3.
In country after country, the free and open internet, unfiltered alternative news, the rise of citizen journalists, the rise of citizens in those countries who have larger voices than CIA-backed media, than USAID-funded media, than State Department-funded media, has meant that the State Department has lost control of those countries. And what happened was, after 2016, the technology and the networks were established to be able to add a new toolkit to American diplomacy, which is diplomacy by censorship. And we have formal government programs at the State Department dedicated to getting foreign countries to pass domestic censorship laws to stop the rise of right-wing populist parties in those countries. I'm going to say that again. We have formal government programs at the State Department whose job is to lobby foreign countries and pressure foreign countries to pass censorship laws to stop the rise of domestic populist groups. So you have truckers in America whose income tax is going to pay foreign governments to censor their citizens.
So one of the keys when you're reading the headlines today is the EU has come after the great Elon Musk. Britain, the prime minister, was attacking Elon Musk. So there is this huge censorship industrial complex. The point of this video is who's driving it. And Mike Benz is telling you that the State Department and the NGOs in America is driving it in the foreign countries. So Brazil, possibility that the America is driving that. Why? Because Elon Musk is not towing the line. He's not getting by and shutting off everybody they want. 2016, he talks about in this interview at some point. He says what? They didn't like when Trump won, right? They were for Hillary. So here's the thing. When they don't get their way, they're upset and they want to change the rules. So all before 2016, he's saying, there were other things going on before then. We know about some other problems that government was having all along the way in controlling the media. But from his perspective, 2016, they did a major shift. So let's go with that. There was a major shift in 2016, moving away from using free speech to throw governments and use it for their benefit, the State Department. Then they had to change because Trump won and threw them off. And there was Brexit coming up, right? So there were all these things that they weren't getting in the way. And he uses the word populism, but I would just use the word a republic in which we do get to vote, right? Anyway, this is the end of part one. We're going to part two. What's important? We've got to defend the Constitution. It's up to us. Thank you. If you like our message, please like and subscribe. We would appreciate that.